How's it going, everyone? Welcome to part 5 of the new account series. Today we're going to be taking a look at the dirt races. We're going to be conquering the dirt racing outpost. Gonna go ahead and tune up this vehicle real quick. This is the first one we're going to use. And I will be putting all of the share codes for all of the tunes that I make on screen. Down in the comments below, it will be the final version of those tunes after I've driven it through a race and tested it. So feel free to use those. At this point in your careers, if you've been following along and not spending money on cars, you should have plenty of credits to buy these tunes right here, and the tunes will actually definitely help you and are, I would argue, are extremely necessary for the dirt racing especially. Now the accolades we're going to be doing right now, you have to unlock, similar to the road racing, you have to do 5 dirt races to unlock most of these. We can do a couple of them right now though. So the first one we're going to be doing is a Subaru and a modern rally car, which is this car that we're in right now. And we're also obviously going to be unlocking the accolade for this race we're doing up here. And I don't actually have any of the vehicles for those vehicle-specific accolades yet. So we're mostly just going to be doing the manufacturer, and once we unlock them, the class-specific accolades. And similar to the previous video, I will be skipping most of the lapped races. I'll be including pretty much just a full lap. I'm going to be cutting out part of the first lap and cutting in on the last lap there. Alright, now since we were on top of this Caldera, I went ahead and just used this car. It is actually going to count for one of the accolades since it is a rally monster. And this will be dirt race number 4. Remember, we did 2 in the opening sequence, and we also just did 1. So this next one we do is going to be number 4. I decided just to come up to the top of the mountain here and knock out the one up here, and then the one that takes us back off the mountain, the Montaña Trail, which is next. And what we just did there, we adjusted the tune for this because this particular trail is pretty intense. It's not even really a dirt race, even though it is like the most rally race of all the rally races in the game. It's very bumpy, and if you take a traditional rally suspension vehicle into this race, it's not going to work out very well. we're just tuning this for dirt racing. And again, all of the share codes for these will be in the description below. I actually went in and adjusted this tune after we used it. It was just a tiny bit too stiff in the springs. So we did adjust it before we published it. And I mentioned it in the last video, but I would actually advise doing this with friends just because it makes it more interesting. Doing a solo is definitely possible. You don't have to do it with friends, but I like doing it with friends. It's funner. And when you do it with friends, you don't actually have to win. You can win as a team. All right. So we still haven't unlocked most of them. We're going to do a road race in a Renault. And we're also going to, this is a classic rally car. So we're going to get credit for doing it in a classic rally car as well. And that is that. And now we're going to get into the interesting part, the fun part, because we just unlocked all of the accolades. So here are the accolades. First one we're going to do is we're going to do one in a buggy, D class. And I did highlight tuning setup. I didn't end up tuning it. I was going to, but we just did it stock. There we have it. That was the Baja, California Trail. And don't forget, if you want to watch any of these races, you can slow down the playback on YouTube, just 0.25 playback speed, and that will get you to be able to see the races. The audio will be just a tiny bit messed up, but other than that, you'll be able to see it perfectly through the races. I just skipped it a little bit, sped it up, just to make the video not quite as long. Alright, the next thing we're going to do here, we're going to be doing a C-Class car. And this one we are going to do a tuned car, and we're going to pick Retro Rally this time. And these are the Retro Rally cars in my garage. I went with this one just because it wasn't a car pass car. I had a car eligible that's not a car pass car, and this car is actually a really good dirt car in this game. This is the first time I had used it for C-Class, but the B-Class version, I made one for a trial a while back. I really loved it. And again, the share codes for these tunes will be in the description below, or you can just slow down the playback or pause and just copy this down. I won't be offended at all. All right, now moving on to the San Juan Scramble. And this car ended up being so good that not only did we DNF all of the Drivatars, we almost lapped them. And these are extremely long laps too, so definitely a very good C-Class car. Anytime C-Class trial, anything goes, pops up in the trial, I would definitely recommend this car. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is a B-Class. And I wanted to do a retro hot hatch or even just a regular hot hatch, but I didn't have any of them in my garage. Which I was quite disappointed at. But we ended up just using a super hot hatch, and the only super hot hatches I had in my garage were car-pass cars. And if you don't have a hot hatch, super hot hatch, or just a retro hot hatch in your garage, simply skip this accolade and do a different accolade. You don't have to do every single accolade I do to get to legendary status. We're going to be well beyond legendary status by the time we're done with this, so I wouldn't worry about it at all. Alright, onto the Fuera del Camino trail. And that was that. The next thing we're going to be doing here is A-Class. So we're going to be doing an A-Class Unlimited Off-Road. And I figured I would check both of those, the Unlimited Off-Road and the Off-Road, And when I went to check, I had 2 decent unlimited off-road or A classes and 1 already built S1 class off-road. So I went ahead and just used that. Now I don't use this Extreme E right here because it is an exclusive. Technically, though, there's 10 of those cars. One of them is an auto show car. It is quite expensive, especially for new players. But if you just do the playlist events, which I will be covering in a future part of this, if you just do the playlist events, you will get probably several of these Extreme E cars if you're watching this during Series 10. And this is a stock Jeep Trailcat. And that was the El Pípila Scramble. Alright, next we're going to do S1 Off-Road. And similar to the road, you don't have to worry about these extra accolades. You will get those just through the regular course of doing all of these races. We are going to adjust this real quick. This is an off-road tune. We're going to adjust it to just a rally tune. Alright, you can switch the championship events to regular events, as you just saw there. Now, if you do the championship event, there is an accolade once you unlock Hall of Fame to do all of the races, all the exhibitions in the game. And if you do a blueprinted event, like an event lab, if you do a seasonal event, and you don't actually ever do the race like we're doing here, just with the stock blueprint, it does not count as an exhibition. So it is highly advisable to do all of the exhibitions as is, just once through. That way, once you unlock Hall of Fame status, you automatically get that accolade. And that was the Bajío Trail. That is another one of those races where it's definitely advised to have your suspension pretty loose, similar to cross-country suspension. And what we're doing right now, we're just going to go through and tune a couple of vehicles. The friend of mine I was doing this with had to do something, so I just went ahead and tuned all of the vehicles we were going to be using for the rest of the video. All except 2, which I decided to use. These are just the ones we're going to be doing for the specific accolades. And this one is one of the few cars in the game that actually feels somewhat decent in S2 class off-road, and especially X class off-road. Unfortunately, the only other ones that feel like it are either very expensive, they're Forza edition vehicles, or they're welcome pack cars. So there's not really an easy way around this accolade. I would wait on this accolade, honestly, if you don't have the welcome pack, just because not a lot of cars feel very good in S2 dirt. Alright, so we're going to do one in an S2. We're going to need to do one in a X-Class. We don't have a hot hatch or a retro hot hatch. And looking through this list, I actually remembered that there is one of these cars that we can do. But we'll get to that here in a second. This is the Mini that I have. Again, this is a car pass car, so if you don't have this one, just wait to do this accolade until you do have a Mini. It definitely isn't worth it to be buying cars in this game just to do accolades. Just this game literally throws cars at you just from doing wheel spins, from doing playlist events. So I would actually not recommend what I'm doing here, because I am not opening any wheel spins, because I just want to show that it is possible to get Hall of Fame status without opening any wheel spins, that the game doesn't make you, without buying any cars in the auto show. You could, in theory, just ignore all of these side objectives, all of these side accolades, and just go through, do all of the races in the game, and you would unlock legendary status, but it's faster if you do these side objectives. And as you just saw right there, you are awarded this Peugeot 207 Super 2000 for doing one of the expeditions that we did in part 4. So I would definitely recommend. I haven't collected any of the accolades yet. This is the first one that I did. This is definitely one that I would recommend collecting, because it is an amazing A-class dirt car, and you also get a separate accolade for using this car. And one of the first ones we did was a Rally Monster, and we did it with the Hoonigan Cossie. I would say if you claim this car before you do that Rally Monster, you can get the Rally Monster and the Peugeot 207 Super 2000 accolade at the same time. I hadn't actually realized that this was a reward. I was looking, since I had a lot of time, I was looking through to find if there was any way I could get any of those cars. But he is back, so we are going to do the S2 race. And that was S2 dirt racing. And that is something I would advise actually not even attempting for a while, because it is quite intense. If you do it, I would adjust the difficulty rating all the way to tourist, because yeah, it is quite intense. This one is slightly more intense. It's not really that much more powerful than the S2, because this is barely into X class. And you can see here I was adjusting the tunes because they were just a little bit too stiff. Just a tiny bit. This is the This is the one I ended up tuning. And I had to adjust the first couple of gears here because it didn't feel right for this particular car. This is a different one from the one that we just adjusted the suspension on. Alright, now that we got the first couple of gears feeling alright. And like I said, this is honestly one of my favorite A-class non-meta dirt cars in this game. And I'm not sure if it's the car or this track, but I could not get a feel for this car. I don't know what it was. It just didn't feel right. Alrighty, now we're going to use this thing, and I do have to go tune it, but I have to admit that this car is quite meta, unfortunately, for rally, and all of these cars are identical, all 10 of them, or at least all 3 we have so far. I don't foresee any of the 10 they release being different, so these settings will work for any of them, and I want to stress this is specifically for dirt racing. This is not going to work out very well for off-road. It's going to be way too bouncy. I will eventually be making one because we are going to do the playlist on this account. And now we're just going to be doing the last couple in this thing. And we're also going to be using a different car for the last one because we kind of got tired of using this every single time. Please don't forget to drop a like on the video if it helped you out, and subscribe with notifications on if you want to see more content like this. I do seasonal PR stunt guides, which go live 30 minutes prior to season changeover each week, and I'm also working on PR stunt guides for all PR stunts in the game, which will include the expansions as well. Alright, and for the last race here, we are going to put it just on unbeatable, just because it was getting a bit easy there on highly skilled, and this is actually a really good rally tune, so I knew it could handle it. And you will see some really aggressive driving here. It's kind of a mindset thing whenever you're up against unbeatable drivatars from doing way too many trials, that you've got to be aggressive. You don't necessarily have to be aggressive. It is easier to pass them, though, if you're aggressive. Alrighty, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you out. Please be on the lookout for part 6, which is coming soon. It will be all about the cross country, the Baja Outpost. And we are almost done. We just have 5 more adventures to unlock before we get Hall of Fame. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.